Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Now I'm going to show you how to do this really strange stitch. Now this is called the hag stitch. On YouTube there's a channel called Crochet Hag Ryan and she did a show with this, what she's calling the hag stitch, after her channel, and I'll explain how to do the stitch in a few moments. Now what I want to show you is the way this stitch goes. It works its way diagonally up the side of your blanket. Where it disappears here, it reappears over here. Can you see it moving up there on that side? Now the other side of the blanket is like this. Now when you see it like this, it looks like the swags of curtains. Do you know how like you get curtains in the theatre and things? It gives it this really nice swag. On this side, your stitches are going diagonally up that way and disappearing off your blanket. Now, Ryan did... she's a really bubbly lady, and you should go and I'll put a link in the bottom of the video to her YouTube channel. Now she did a show and she went this way. She used a variegated yarn and the yarn is going this way but the stitches are going that way, and it's really pretty. Look at this, look at that, that is so pretty. It's quite a thick stitch as well. I'm going to turn that around so you can see this. I've been making this little car seat blanket out of some spotty blue yarn, and look at that, look at it from the side. It's so pretty. Whatever way you look at it, you see it kind of different. It's really pretty. Now the pattern is a repeat of 4 rows, and I'm going to show you the way I kept track of the rows. I'll show you, it will explain itself. Your first stitch is always a half treble crochet or a half double crochet if you're in the USA. So for the first 2 rows you'll start with a back loop and then do that front side loop. You'll do a back loop and then that front side loop and a back loop, alternating it, and you'll do that row twice. Then your next 2 rows you'll do your half treble crochet and then you'll start with that front side loop and then the back and then the front and then the back, okay? And it's really pretty. It's a nice stretchy stitch as well, as you can see. It's a nice stretchy stitch. I'll zoom back down. But it's a beautiful stitch for a blanket. So I'm going to show you how to do this hag stitch blanket, and it's been designed by Hag Ryan, and I'll put a link down there in the bottom to her YouTube channel. You should go and watch it. She's a breath of fresh air. She's so funny as well. She's delightful. So we'll just go on with this blanket, okay, and I'll explain it as I'm going along as well. Okay, so to do this stitch, I'm going to start with a slip knot. I'm just going to wind it around my hand, my yarn, put my hook through and pull through the loop and just tighten it on to the hook like this. Now do your chain slack. Don't do your chain too tight. You don't want your blanket going in an arch like this because your chain's too tight. If you can't do it tight, then use a bigger hook. Using a 6mm hook, you use the hook that tells you on the yarn that you've got. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a chain. I found out it doesn't matter whether your chain is an odd number or an even number. The run of the stitch will still go diagonal whether it's an even number or an odd number. It'll disappear down at the bottom like I've showed you on this. Turn it around so we've got the diagonal side. As you can see, it disappears here. It's done over a set of 4 rows, like I said, and it disappears here, but it reappears again over here. Look at it reappearing here, and your stitch just goes in this diagonal manner. I like it with a plain yarn. On the Crochet Hag channel, she used a coloured yarn, and so has some of the other ladies. They've used a variegated yarn, and you've got your yarn, like I said, going that way, and the stitch going diagonal. Anyway, so let's go on with this. So I'm going to do a chain. I'm just going to do my chain the way I normally do it. I'm not going to do the stitches too tight. And look at how my hand's just resting on this type of hook. I like it. I like it. I'm not endorsing this, by the way. I wish I was. I wish I got a whole set for nothing. I really do. I would endorse it to the end of the earth. But unfortunately not. So I'm just going to buy these hooks, just a few at a time, until I get a full set. And I'm just going to do my chain. I'm not going to count them. You don't really have to. Stitch in my chain. I'm going to do yarn over, go through the stitch, pull through, yarn over, and come through all those stitches. Yarn over into the next stitch and pull through, yarn over and pull through all the stitches. Now this hook is quite good, but I really, like I said, I wish I'd bought the ones that were called maxi swing so that I got a bigger length of hook. But maybe the other ones I buy, I'll get those with the longer neck on them. So I'm going to do a UK half treble crochet all the way to the end. So I'm nearly at my last stitch. So I've got one more to do right in the end of my chain. This is my last half treble crochet, and this is what you've got like this. So I'm going to just chain one. This does not count for anything at all. Chain one and turn. You'll start every row with a half treble crochet, and you'll finish every row with a half treble crochet. That keeps the edge of your blanket nice and straight. So what we're doing now is I'm going to put my yarn over and go straight into that first stitch in there, right into there, and come through my stitch. So what you're going to do now is we need to do two rows like this. Now you're going to just turn your work slightly to the top so you can see the top, and we're going through, I'll use my other hook. So for this row we're going to start with a back loop. That is the back loop of your stitch. Now if you stretch your stitches out like I did earlier, you'll see that each stitch is made up of 3 strands of yarn. You've got your back loop, you've got your front loop, and you've got your third loop on the side here. Now on the other YouTube videos that I've seen, they were calling this the third loop on the front. The third loop on the front. But I found it much easier just to call it the side loop. The side loop. So that's your back loop. That's your front loop that's right on the front as normal. And this is the side loop of the stitch. So we're going to be using a back loop for your first stitch. You're going to go to the side loop here for your next stitch. You'll turn and you'll go into the back loop. Your stitch is a side loop here. So it's the 1, 2, 3, the third one around, but it's on the side of your work. When you're working with your blanket, this loop is on the side, and I think that's the easiest way to try and get you to remember that. So you've got your back loop, your front loop, and that side loop there. Oh, wrong hook. I really need to get more of these hooks, but once again I wish I'd got the one with the longer shaft on it. So their next stitch is going to be your back loop stitch. So yarn over, and we'll always be doing a half treble crochet. If you're in the USA or another country, that's a half double crochet. So we're going into this next stitch here, into the back loop, pull your yarn through and finish your half treble. Now there is your side stitch right there. That's the top of your work, and that stitch running across there on the side. So yarn over and slide your hook up under there. Pull your yarn through and finish your half treble crochet. What it does is it pulls that stitch up, but as it pulls up, it pushes your work that way. So there's a few do's and don'ts with this. Don't go into that stitch that's there. That's the one that you've just pulled the loop over. So don't go into that. Please don't be tempted to go into the back of that stitch. You're going into the next stitch. So yarn over and do your back loop on the next stitch and finish it off. Yarn over, there's your next stitch there. You're going down to the side. Pull your yarn through and finish your half treble. Yarn over, back loop, finish your stitch, yarn over, side loop. There's your side loop on the next stitch. So it's a side loop. So it's back loop, side loop, back loop, side loop. So we're going to the back, yarn over and go to the side on your next stitch. Your next stitch is a back loop. Your next stitch is that side loop there. And then there's your back loop there. So yarn over and do your back loop. Yarn over and do your side. Now you've got to remember and kind of twist it. Don't be tempted to take this as your back loop. It's not. Give it a twist and make sure that you're taking this back loop here on your V. That's your V. Make sure that you can see that V and take that back loop. Now once you've been doing this, people, honestly, once you've been doing this, it's a doddle. It really is. Once you get the hang of this, and you'll clearly see if you make a mistake, because your diagonal line that's going to start running up there will go out of sync. So now we're on, that's a back loop, so we're on a side loop. And there you can clearly see that side loop of the next stitch. Give it a little twist to catch your back loop on the next stitch, back loop, next stitch, side loop. So we're not taking the front loop. That's your stitch there, that V. These are your stitches here. You're not taking that one. You're going to the side and you're taking that side one that's there. So up the side and then a back, the next stitch, it's your back loop all the way along, and it doesn't matter. And you're going to finish on a half treble crochet. It doesn't matter which stitch you're finishing going along the middle here. So we're doing a back one, back loop, and a front or the side loop here. The side loop, not the front loop. Now what you've got at the end, you've got this little bunch. You're going to do a half treble crochet. Your last stitch will always be a half treble crochet. Don't go through the stitch, go through the space. You're going into the space, not through any chain. So finish with a half treble crochet. Chain one. Now where's my little book? So with this, I've done a back, I've done one, that's my front, that's my 2 markers for my front, my 2 markers for my back, and then I'll have B and F, 2 lines. These represent your 4 rows. So mark that one off. We've done one back loop. We started one row with a back loop. So the next row we need to start with a back loop as well. We need to do 4 rows repeated all up your blanket. So I've done my chain one and I'm going to turn. And I'm going straight into that first stitch there. Straight into there with my half treble crochet. And if you're in the USA, this is a half double crochet. So again, we start the next stitch with a back loop again. We're doing the half treble into the back loop, and then we're going to the front loop. Now you can see it really clearly on the front. This is the top of your work, and you can see how that front one has pushed that over a little bit. So you make sure that you're looking here. These are the V's of your stitch, and this is the side stitch that you want. This is the 3rd loop on that stitch. 1, 2, 3. Back loop, front loop, side loop. So we've done our back loop. Now you're going to do your side loop, that big long side loop. Pull through. Now a back loop and a side loop, and there's that side loop there. Pull through, yarn over, do your back loop. Now don't be tempted to take that one. Make sure on the back loop that you turn your work, twist it round so you can get my yarn out of the way here. So make sure you twist it around so that you can get that back loop there. Don't be tempted to take the one that's right in front of you. And the side to the next stitch. So the next stitch is your back loop, and make sure that you're not going to use the stitch that you've just taken that side loop from. Your back loop is here. Your back loop. The next stitch, it's your side loop that's here. You've got your back, your front, and this one that's sitting on the side. And your last little bunch, you're going not through the chain or the stitch. You're not going through the chain or the stitch. You're going into the space with a half treble crochet. So we'll mark that off because that's us done our 2 back loop first. Now we're going to do front loops first. So chain 1 and turn. You're going to do your half treble crochet at the beginning. You'll always do that first. Now your next stitch, there is your front loop stitch. There's your side loop. You've got your back loop, your front loop, and this one on the side. So yarn over and catch that one that's at the side. That's the top of your work, and that is running down the side of it. And then you'll do your back loop. So that is your 4-row repeat. Back to the side one, yarn over and do a back loop. I've done it with an even number of stitches on this one, and my bigger blanket is an odd number. That's an odd number of stitches. It doesn't matter. The way this is, it still does the same thing. Your stitch still disappears here and starts to reappear over here on your next 4th set of rows. So every time you do a set of 4, your little stitch will go diagonally like this, and it's so pretty. And down the edge I would just do a couple of rounds of half treble crochets to do your edge. Your edge is quite neat, but I think it does maybe need a border around it. That's just my little sampler in this pink, and both sides, as you can see, are really pretty. I love this side. It looks like swags, doesn't it? And when it's close up, this is what it looks like on this side, and this is what it looks like on this side. You can see that diagonal more on this side of the blanket. I'm going to stretch it so you can see how it is. Even if you use a nice big hook, this is what you'll get. You'll get this nice lacy pattern, but it will still go up on that diagonal by doing that front sort of side stitch part of it. Completely new this, isn't it? So on the end, into the space that's in here, don't go into the stitch, go into the space and do your half treble, and look at what it's doing. You're getting your pattern already like this. So mark that off. We've done one front post row. So chain 1 and turn, do your half treble, straight in to your stitch, your first stitch. And we're going to do one more row starting with that front stitch there. So you're doing that one that's on the side, on the front side. Give it a little sort of shimmy over and do the back loop of the next one, and that'll be our 4 rows complete. And that's what we just keep repeating. 2 rows. Now you'll always start with a half treble crochet at the beginning and a half treble crochet at the end. Then you'll do 2 rows. You'll start with your back loop on your second stitch. So your back loop starts on your second stitch. So your first stitch is always a half treble crochet. So you're going to do 2 rows where you'll do your back loop, and then 2 rows where it's your front loop. But you'll always do your half treble on that first stitch. So now we've done a back, so now we're on that side stitch. A little twist and catch the back loop and do that front side loop. And I think it's a lovely stitch. It's a lovely stitch. And into my last stitch with my half treble. So we're going to mark that off. So that's me done my first 4 rows of my pattern. And look at that, so pretty. And there you go. Your little diagonal is starting to go up the side, and that is the way it's supposed to go until your blanket is as big as you want it. And look at that, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Look at that. Your diagonal is going that way on one side of your blanket, and it's going that way. But look how pretty it is. It is so pretty, and you can see it. It's quite three-dimensional the way you look at it. If you look at it from the side, you can clearly see the diagonals starting and disappearing on your blanket, and on the other side it's got that beautiful sort of swag look on it. It looks as if it's got swags, and I like it. I think it's really cute. I think it's a really cute stitch. I think it's lovely. And like I said, a border, I would start down here in the corner where you started with your chain. I would just do a treble. I would do a half treble crochet into each of the stitches all the way up, and I'll just do a few rounds. It's up to you. You can just stitch in some lace as well if you want, and look at that, it's just so pretty. And this is the Hag stitch. It's the Hag stitch, courtesy of Ryan from the Hag Ryan YouTube channel. So thank you very much for watching. Give this a try. I think you're really going to like it. Please subscribe to my channel. Just click on that subscribe button, and also if you click on the bell icon, then YouTube will notify you when I put up another tutorial. So until the next time, happy crafting, and I'll see you all again soon.